The silver cross felt cold against Caroline Leavitt's skin as she stared at the document glowing on her screen, fingers hovering above the keyboard. At just 29, she was the youngest White House press secretary in American history, hardened by politics, but nothing had prepared her for this. "They never thought it would leak," she whispered to the empty office, her voice calm despite the tremor in her hands. The messages on her secure laptop were explosive, private communications, between Judge Elias Foreman and several colleagues discussing how to crush every Trump-aligned case that reached their courts. His words were blunt, unapologetic, and utterly impeachable. She checked the clock. 4:47 a.m. The White House was silent, the night staff drifting like ghosts through dim corridors. The encrypted email had arrived hours earlier with the subject line, "Judicial misconduct urgent." Caroline was used to conspiracy rants filling her inbox. But this was different. The metadata was clean, the timestamps aligned, everything matched official schedules. It was real. Caroline stood, gazing at the Washington Monument glowing in the pre-dawn sky. Her reflection stared back, platinum bob flawless despite the sleepless night, blue eyes burning with resolve, silver cross at her throat. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. "This cross isn't decoration, Caroline. It's a reminder that some principles are worth fighting for." She picked up her phone. Marcus Jennings, D.C.'s most feared constitutional attorney. She hesitated only a second before pressing call. "You want to sue a federal judge for $900 million? Marcus leaned back, disbelief flickering behind sharp eyes. At 57, he looked every bit the veteran of 1,000 courtroom battles. "That's exactly what I want to do," Caroline said, sliding a folder across his desk. "Defamation. Violation of constitutional rights. Abuse of judicial power. The works." Marcus flipped through the pages, his expression darkening. "Where did you get these?" "A whistleblower inside the court system. I verified everything." He looked up. "You realize this isn't just a lawsuit. It's a declaration of war against the judiciary." Caroline's hand brushed her cross. "I know exactly what it is," Marcus exhaled. "Foreman's not just a judge, he's connected. Harvard Law, Obama appointee, 17 years on the bench. Brilliant, ruthless." "So am I," Caroline replied flatly. Marcus studied her for a long moment. "This isn't about money, is it? The dollar amount guarantees headlines. Headlines bring attention. Attention brings accountability. But no, this isn't about money. It's about justice." A slow smile crept across Marcus's face. "Most people who say that are lying." "I'm not most people." He nodded. "Then we go all in." He hit the intercom. "Janet, clear my schedule. I want Foreman's entire case history for the last 5 years." He turned back to Caroline. "We file tomorrow morning. That gives us 1 day to prepare for the storm." "I've been preparing for storms my whole life," Caroline said, rising. As she reached the door, Marcus called out, "When this breaks, the White House will try to distance itself from you. Are you ready for that?" Caroline's confident smile didn't waver. "The president values loyalty and courage. He'll have my back." When she left, Marcus looked down at the evidence again, murmuring, 900 million might actually be underpricing this. Caroline's SUV cut through early traffic. She flipped through her briefing notes as her driver, Agent Rivera, glanced at her in the mirror. "Rough day ahead?" he asked quietly. "You have no idea," she said. Her personal phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number off months ago. Caroline typed quickly. The reply came instantly. At the White House gate, Caroline stepped into the crisp morning air. Staffers hurried past as the day began, unaware that by tomorrow, Washington would be in flames. In her office, she found the promised email, an encrypted file labeled nearly a gigabyte of data. Emails, texts, calendar entries, and court records. As she skimmed the contents, the truth hit her hard. Foreman hadn't just shown bias. He had coordinated outcomes in politically sensitive cases. It was a conspiracy hiding in plain sight. A knock interrupted her thoughts. "Madam Press Secretary, the president's ready for you," her aide said. Caroline locked her screen, smoothed her navy suit, and walked toward the Oval Office. President James Marshall stood by the window, sunlight painting his face in gold. "Caroline," he said warmly, "I want to de-escalate this trade situation. You've seen China's response?" Yes, sir. I've drafted 3 messaging angles. He studied her for a moment. You seem different today. What's going on? Caroline hesitated. Then quietly, Sir, I'm filing a personal lawsuit tomorrow against a federal judge, Elias Foreman. The room fell silent. D.C. Circuit Judge. Yes, sir. On what grounds? Defamation, constitutional violations, and judicial misconduct. Caroline met his gaze steadily. I have evidence he's been ruling against conservative causes out of personal bias, not legal merit. The president leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing. That's a serious charge, Caroline. I have serious proof, Mr. President. He rose, walking to the window overlooking the rose garden. You realize this will cause waves. The judicial branch doesn't take kindly to challenges, especially from the executive. I'm filing as a private citizen, not as press secretary. The president gave a short laugh. You know that distinction won't matter to the press or to Judge Foreman. How solid is your case? Rock solid. I wouldn't proceed otherwise. He nodded slowly. What's your endgame? Accountability and reform, she said without hesitation. Americans deserve judges who follow the law, not their own agendas. The president studied her a moment. You'll need support once this breaks. The establishment will close ranks. I understand that. Do you have Marcus Jennings? Her surprise showed. The president smiled. There aren't many attorneys who can handle something like this. Marcus is one of the best. Yes, sir. He's already on board. Good. He returned to his desk. I won't interfere in your personal legal matters, but know this. I value loyalty, courage, and principle. Those who show them will always have my support. It was as close to an endorsement as she could have hoped for. Thank you, Mr. President. He gave a nod. Now about these Chinese tariffs. The White House press briefing room was packed. Every seat filled. Caroline stood at the podium, calm and composed as flashbulbs lit the room. The president has been clear from day one, she began. American workers and businesses will not carry the burden of unfair trade practices. Our response targets specific areas where Chinese policies have created an uneven playing field. CNN's senior correspondent stood. Caroline, sources in Beijing suggest this could escalate into a full trade war. Is the administration ready for that? We're prepared for all scenarios, she said firmly. But our goal remains constructive engagement that protects American interests. Another reporter spoke up. Caroline, there are rumors of tension between the State Department and the Pentagon over the upcoming NATO exercises. Any comment? Caroline hid a small smile, the perfect opening to end the briefing before her announcement. Those reports are exaggerated. There's healthy debate on national security matters, but the administration stands united on our NATO commitments. She paused, scanning the room. That concludes the formal briefing, but I have a personal statement. A murmur rippled through the press corps. Personal statements were rare. She took a steady breath. Tomorrow morning, I'll be filing a lawsuit as a private citizen against federal judge Elias Foreman of the D.C. Circuit Court. The suit alleges defamation, constitutional violations, and judicial misconduct, supported by documented evidence of systematic bias in cases involving conservative plaintiffs. Chaos erupted. Questions flew, cameras flashed. Caroline raised a hand. To be clear, this is a personal action, not in my official capacity. The evidence will be public when the suit is filed tomorrow. No further questions today. She gathered her papers and walked out as the room exploded behind her. In the corridor, Tyler fell into step beside her, wide-eyed. Well, that's one way to end a press briefing. Get ready, Caroline said briskly. Our phones are about to explode. As if on cue, both their devices started buzzing nonstop. Her screen filled with messages, reporters, colleagues, unknown numbers. One text stood out. Marcus, it's begun, my office. 6 a.m. Bring coffee, strong. By the time they reached her office, the headlines were already up. White House press secretary to sue federal judge unprecedented. Top official takes on judicial branch. Karoline Leavitt alleges judicial bias in bombshell. Move Tyler whistled. CNN's already got a panel. MSNBC's prepping their legal analysts. Fox is backing you full force. What about social media? Twitter's on fire. Her Judge Face-Off and your Leavitt Foreman are trending. Conservatives are cheering you on. Liberals are divided, some defending the courts, others calling for an investigation. Caroline nodded, focused. And Foreman? Nothing official yet. Courthouse sources say he's in an emergency meeting. Expect a statement soon. Dismissive and probably threatening, she said flatly. But it won't matter once the documents go public. Her secure line rang. Unknown number. Caroline Leavitt. Miss Leavitt, Devin Clark here. We haven't met, but we share a mutual friend, Rachel Winters. Her guard went up immediately. How did you get this number? Rachel gave it to me. I'm a media strategist. I specialize in cases that blend law, politics, and public perception. And why are you calling me? Because, As he turned to leave, he added, Foreman has powerful friends in the Senate. They're already making calls. Be ready. This will get uglier before it gets better. Moments after Benson left, Marcus called. Have you seen Foreman's leaked statement? No. He's going to claim you fabricated the text and that this is revenge for a ruling against a donor to the president. That's absurd, Caroline snapped. I've never even appeared in his courtroom. Facts won't matter in the first news cycle, Marcus warned. You'll need proof the text is real. Rachel can authenticate it. She has the original server logs, and then call her, now. If you can't prove authenticity immediately, we lose momentum. An hour of frantic coordination followed. Rachel confirmed the server data but asked to stay anonymous. Devin built the media strategy. Marcus refined the legal filing. At exactly 4 p.m., Judge Elias Foreman appeared before cameras. His tone was grave, his posture controlled. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt made false allegations against me and the judiciary, he began. She published what she claims is a private message that I categorically deny writing or sending. Caroline's phone buzzed. Devin, as predicted. We're ready. Foreman continued. This fabricated evidence is a political retaliation for a ruling I issued last month involving a donor to the president's campaign. Caroline exhaled. So that's his angle. I've devoted my life to upholding the Constitution, Foreman declared. I will not be intimidated by politically motivated attacks. Her phone rang again. Devin, you saw it? Yes, he's sticking with the fabrication story. Can Rachel verify? She just sent me the authentication. Metadata showing it came from his government phone. Perfect. Release it all. Add a statement. Judge Foreman claims fabrication. The evidence says otherwise. Caroline posted immediately. Digital forensics confirm these messages are authentic. This isn't about politics. It's about judicial integrity. Within minutes, the story erupted again. Headlines updated in real time. Press secretary counters judge's denial with forensic evidence. Experts confirm authenticity of Foreman's texts. Additional messages show pattern of judicial bias. The phone on her desk rang. It was the president. I just watched both statements, he said. Are you absolutely certain about the authentication? Yes, sir. The evidence is solid. There was a pause. The Chief Justice just called me. She's worried this sets a dangerous precedent. With respect, Mr. President, Caroline said, steadying her voice. Exposing misconduct isn't an attack on the judiciary. It's a defense of it. There was silence. Then the president replied quietly, That's exactly what I told her. But brace yourself, Caroline. This is moving faster than anyone expected. Even I anticipated that, sir. The filing is still set for tomorrow. Yes, sir. 900M. Good, keep me informed, but not directly. Go through Richard. Understood, Mr. President. When the call ended, Caroline leaned back in her chair, the weight of the situation sinking in. What had started as a stand against one judge's misconduct was spiraling into a full-blown constitutional crisis, one that could shake all three branches of government. Her phone rang again. Marcus, she answered. Caroline, Judge Foreman just called an emergency meeting with the chief judge of the D.C. Circuit. They're discussing a possible gag order, before we even file. Can they do that? Technically, no. But under these circumstances, they might try. Then we file now. Not tomorrow. Exactly. My team's finalizing the documents. Can you be at the courthouse in an hour? Caroline checked her watch. 5:47 p.m. I'll be there. She hung up and called out, Tyler, I'm heading to the courthouse. If anyone asks, it's a personal legal matter. The chief of staff called again, Tyler said. 17 media requests too. Tell Richard I'll call from the car. Decline all interviews for now. Caroline gathered her things. And Tyler? Thanks for having my back. Always, boss. What you're doing, it's right. As she strode through the White House corridors, heads turned. Word of her clash with Judge Foreman had spread fast. Some faces showed admiration, others worry. Outside, Agent Rivera stood ready by her SUV. Federal courthouse, she ordered as she climbed in. As the vehicle pulled away, she touched the silver cross at her neck, her grandmother's gift, her quiet source of strength. What began as a fight against one man's misconduct had become a battle for justice itself. The sun dipped over Washington, casting long shadows across the monuments of democracy. By morning, Caroline knew those ideals would face their greatest test. Her phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. Foreman just released another statement. Accusing you of obstructing justice. Caroline typed back, Good. I've never feared a fight that matters. The cross felt warm against her skin. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. There are principles worth fighting for. As the courthouse came into view, its marble columns glowing in the evening light, Caroline steeled herself. This wasn't just about one judge anymore. It was about a system that had allowed corruption to fester for too long. Inside, the marble halls echoed with her footsteps. Marcus was waiting, leather portfolio in hand, 2 associates behind him with briefcases of documents. Quick update, he said. Foreman's team filed an emergency injunction 10 minutes ago, claiming your statements attacked judicial independence. That was fast, Caroline muttered. Foreman has friends everywhere, Marcus said grimly. Luckily, so do I. The clerks agreed to stay late. They turned a corner and came face to face with Judge Evelyn Montgomery, Chief Judge of the D.C. Circuit. Stern, sharp, a reputation for order above all. Ms. Leavitt, she greeted coolly. This is highly irregular. If you're referring to Judge Foreman's request for an injunction before any case has been filed, I agree, Caroline replied. I've known Judge Foreman 20 years, Montgomery said. He's one of the finest legal minds on the bench. Then his actions are all the more disappointing, Caroline said evenly. Montgomery's eyes narrowed. The judiciary polices its own. Sometimes, Caroline said quietly, public accountability is the only way left. A dangerous precedent, the judge warned. No more dangerous than letting bias erode constitutional rights, Caroline countered. A tense silence followed. Finally, Montgomery said, Your filing will be accepted tonight. The injunction hearing is set for 8 a.m. tomorrow in my courtroom. We'll be there, Marcus said. When Montgomery walked away, he exhaled. Well, that could have gone worse. She didn't have to warn us about the hearing, Caroline noted. Which means she's not entirely with Foreman, Marcus said. Come on, let's get this filed before the next storm hits. In the clerk's office, a woman in horn-rimmed glasses looked up. The Leavitt filing? Yes, Marcus confirmed, handing over the papers. Complaint against Judge Elias Foreman. Defamation, constitutional violations, judicial misconduct. The clerk skimmed the documents. You're requesting $900 million in damages? That's correct. This will be assigned to an out-of-circuit judge, she said, stamping the pages. You'll get the assignment within 48 hours. Caroline's phone buzzed. Dev and CNN just broke the story. How do they already know? Washington leaks like a sieve, Marcus said when she showed him. Probably from Montgomery's office. The clerk handed over the stamped copies. Case number 25, the CV 1042, filed at 6:53 p.m. Thank you, Caroline said, taking her copy. As they exited, the courthouse was alive with movement. Reporters gathering outside, security repositioning, Justice Department officials whispering in corners. Word spreading fast, Marcus said. Too fast, Caroline muttered, glancing at the flood of notifications on her phone. One text from Tyler caught her eye. Chief of Staff says to call immediately. It's urgent. Caroline stepped aside and dialed Richard Benson. The Attorney General just called an emergency meeting with the President, he said quickly. Foreman's allies in Congress are demanding the White House disavow you, or suspend you. Caroline's grip tightened. And the President? He's holding firm for now. But the pressure's brutal. The Senate Judiciary Chair's threatening to block all nominations unless the administration distances itself. This, Caroline said quietly, is exactly why we have to do this. I know, Benson said. Just be ready. It's escalating to the top. Caroline hung up, took a deep breath, and walked back toward Marcus. Outside, the press swarmed the steps. Flashbulbs lit the marble. The battle had begun, and there was no turning back. Keep it short and focused on the Constitution. Not politics, Marcus advised. Caroline nodded, touching her silver cross for strength. I'm ready. They stepped onto the courthouse steps, surrounded by flashing cameras and shouted questions. Caroline raised her hand and the noise fell silent. This evening, I filed a lawsuit against Federal Judge Elias Foreman for defamation. Violation of constitutional rights and judicial misconduct, she began firmly. We have irrefutable evidence that Judge Foreman has repeatedly ruled based on personal bias rather than law. This isn't about politics, it's about the American principle that every citizen deserves equal justice under the law. Reporters fired questions. The White House says this is your personal action. Are you willing to lose your job over it? Caroline met the reporter's gaze. Some principles are bigger than politics or careers. Equal justice under law is one of them. Once Americans see the evidence, they'll understand why this matters to everyone. Another voice shouted. Judge Foreman claims you fabricated evidence. The evidence has been authenticated.